Nothing goes quite hand in hand like Formula 1 and making massive mistakes. The way you think about ketchup and mustard on a hot dog, or peanut butter and jam on a sandwich, or how Alpine and John Deere are somewhat related, it's the same thing with F1 and making massive errors. And that will probably never change. And what is this big mistake that I am referring to? The massive 2026 regulation changes. This move to 2026 regs, by all looks of it, is a massive mistake that is very rushed, poorly planned, and racing as a whole is going to take a step backwards. The only positive note with these changes is that the cars are getting slightly smaller, but that's about it. Overall, they're still going to be very heavy cars, but now down on power, and with DRS being removed and active aero reintroduced, you are once again inviting teams to find the perfect aero balance for every track, and if you have a skilled driver with really good defending, it is possible that there will be very minimal overtakes. On the straights, the cars are allowed to lower their own wings to compensate for the lower power output, and into corners the car will automatically increase flap and be able to take the corners very well. In theory, with the next generation of cars, a driver will be able to change the settings, change the wings, and be able to put pressure on the driver ahead, but that is also possible with the current generation of cars. You can change brake balance, you can change the diff, you can change strategy mode, you can change a lot of different settings to help you attack the driver ahead. The most annoying thing about switching to the new regulation is when they do it. Always at the end of a previous generation of cars where the racing is extremely fun and close. Then they have to switch it up for some reason and everything gets reset. Right now, McLaren are dominating races, but not on single lap performance or with insane grip or downforce. They just have a very efficient floor that allows them to operate better when the tires get hot and they don't have the same degradation. Towards the end of a stint, they are able to put up more stable lap times, while Red Bull, which is its closest rival, falls off. Closest rival meaning Max Verstappen, because the second Red Bull seat has been nowhere since 2018. If you look at the performance charts, Red Bull are maybe 1 or 2 decent upgrades away from matching McLaren. Ferrari maybe 3 or 4. Mercedes right now are battling Williams, and they have been getting shat on for the past couple of race weekends. Tie all of that together, the racing is very fun right now, and everybody can see it. Why are we changing it? The exact same thing happened in 2021. Mercedes dominated for 7 years. Red Bull caught them towards the end, and gave us probably the best championship fight of all time, only for F1 to completely drop that set of regulations and move to this current generation, which has been largely dominated by Red Bull. Imagine being Hamilton at the start of 2022, when the previous year you went toe-to-toe with Verstappen and everything was kind of even, and in the 4th race in Imola in 2022 you are getting lapped by Verstappen. That had to be painful. Even back in 2021, Ferrari and McLaren were competitive, and they were not too far away from the race pace of Mercedes or Red Bull. Even Alpine won a race towards the end of those regulations. Aston Martin and AlphaTauri at the time could score podiums in the right circumstances. Even Williams had a podium in that very forgettable Spa 2021. When you dive deeper into the new regulation set and the push towards this 50-50 split for the power output between the engine and the battery, it's all made to appease the electric vehicle divisions of the car manufacturers like Mercedes, Honda, and the entire Volkswagen group. Even though the EV market is kind of stagnating and nobody really cares for them. What bothers me even more is that they have successfully introduced ways of using synthetic fuel, and they even had show runs with V10s running this fuel, and everything works fine. Imagine this current grid with all the talent that it has, smaller cars and the sound of V8 or V10 engines. With the Netflix angles and drama, it would boost the sport 10 times what it currently is. But no, we can't have nice things. Even the teams are sort of uncertain about the new regulations. Most people think that Mercedes are going to dominate the new regs, as it has the most experience with this technology. Red Bull are shitting themselves right now trying to build their own engine and slap a Ford sticker on it. Ferrari are kind of quiet and I don't really know what to make of them. Are they secretly ahead and not making a big fuss of it, or are they down on power again compared to the Mercedes? Honda has a lot of experience with this technology and should at the very least allow Aston Martin to run in the points. Then all you need is that big brain of Adrian Newey to oversee the air around the car and make a chassis for them with a really good, efficient aero package. Alpine literally gave up and binned their entire engine process, and they are moving to Mercedes engines next year. And that probably tells you the most about next year's engine regulations. Because if someone with as big of an ego as the Renault group can say that we are going to bin our own engine and move to Mercedes, it probably says that Mercedes are very far ahead. Nobody really knows anything about General Motors and how well they will implement into the new Cadillac team, or if the new Cadillac team will even be competitive. And lastly, Audi has already started to regret its involvement, looking to sell large amount of ownership to Qatar, and recently coming out saying that they are expected to race towards the back of the grid. We are basically back to an engine formula next year. The engine freeze is gone, and all hail the mighty Mercedes. What makes it even better? The FIA are considering removing the cost cap, which has allowed teams to race closer than ever and even make a profit for a couple of seasons. Now the cost cap itself has issues, basically saying that any team that gains a big lead at the start of the season are able to carry that lead for most of it, if not the entire season, because the competitors are not able to spend unlimited money trying to outdesign the leading car. But still, it's a step backwards, and that's the same mistake that Formula 1 always makes. As a Formula 1 fan, I'm getting quite used to it by this point, but I would take heavy cars, bad engines, boring regulations with snooze fest races, all of it, as long as this guy gets fired. But that's for another video, so stay tuned. Thank you all for watching. What are your thoughts on the 2026 regs? Put it down in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.